So, good evening. Ang record ko ngayon is Biography and History of Rizal. So, chapter 4 siya sa libro. So, tama may matutunan dito sa ito. So, first of all, Biography and History. Ito siyang importante na part kung iintindi natin ang mga gawain ni Rizal. Kasi, maraming nangyari sa buhay niya na naka-influensya sa pag-iisip niya and sa naging mindset niya about sa paglabay sa colonial problem natin noon. So, i-explain ko dito is yung Rizal's vision na yung pinaka-common na misleading thought natin kay Rizal. So, ang iniisip kasi natin, si Rizal lang mag-isa. Siya lang yung nag-start mag-isa ng revolution, which in fact is not true. Kasi, yung mga kasama niyang ilustrado noon, sila yung mga pinakamagagaling na na-produce ng ating bansa. So, hindi siya nag-iisa. Marami siyang kakolaborate na kasama niya. So, in this chapter, gagawin natin is para ma-interpret natin yung gawa ni Rizal. Two things yung i-consider natin. So, first is kung paano niya naisip yung thoughts na yan, paano siya nagka-idea. Yung pangalawa is kung paano yung idea na yan ay naka-apekto sa nakakarami. So, yan, yung tanong nga is bakit inalay nila Rizal yung buhay nila para sa isang goal, which is yung mapalaya yung Pilipinas from colonialism. So, ayun yung pinakamalaking tanong dito. So, sa chapter nito, pinakita ng author na may tatlong moment sa buhay ni Rizal na naka-apekto sa kanyang pag-iisip. So, nung una is nung 1872, with Burgos as the principal figure. So, nung time na to, dito, in-execute yung Gomburza. And, nagkaroon yun ng malaking epekto sa pag-iisip ng batang si Rizal. So, doon na siya nag-isip na may unfair treatment sa mga Spaniards at sa mga Pilipino, na kung sino man ang magsalita against the Spaniards will be killed. So, yung pangalawa, yung 1892, yung linggo na nagsalita si Rizal sa binuo niyang grupo, which is yung La Liga Filipina. So, na-range siya dun ni Bonifacio. So, ang ginawa ni Bonifacio, yung mga sinabi ni Rizal nun, ay hindi yung ginamit niya para sa sarili niyang grupo, which is yung Katipunan. So, last is yung noong 1896. So, dito na pinatay si Rizal, and dito na rin nag-start yung Philippine Revolution of 1896. So, yung unang natin focus is yung 1872. So, kung bakit nagkaroon ng political movement sa Philippines. So, isang weakness natin dito sa libro is si Felipe Benjamino Sr. So, bakit nga ba? Bigla na lang ba naisip ng mga Pilipino na dapat may human rights, may equality? So, hindi. Nanggaling din yung thought na yun from overseas. So, dun lang sila nagkaroon ng pag-iisip na hindi lang dito may struggle for freedom. So, dumating yung thought ng Enlightenment from the French Revolution noong taong 1834. So, yung taon na yun, nag-open yung Philippines sa international trade. Kasi before, exclusively trading tayo sa Acapulco, Mexico, which is the galleon trade. So, after the galleon trade, inopen mo ng Philippines yung ports nito, hindi lang para sa Acapulco, kundi para sa buong mundo. So, yun. Yung thought ng enlightenment and equality is, hindi na lang natin biglang naisip yun. So, may reason. May reason. Yung ideologies ng French Revolution ay nakaabot sa Pilipinas. Ayon kay Felipe Benjamin. So, nakalagay din dito is, noong mga panahon na pinatalisik si Queen Isabel II of Spain, nagkaroon din ng struggle for secularization dito sa Pilipinas. So, may polisiya kasi ang Vatican na lahat na naglilid sa parish sa isang bansa ay dapat mga sekular. What do you mean by secular? So, ang secular ay isang pare na pinanganak dun sa lugar na yun. Kunyari, Pilipinas, ang mga pare ng secular ay ang mga Pilipino. So, natural na pinanganak dito. So, anong nangyari kasi sa Pilipinas? Baliktad. So, mga praile yung naglilid, which is yung mga foreigner. So, hindi sumusunod yung Spain polisiya ng Vatican. So, ayun yung unang struggle sa church, which is, yun nga, pinaglalaban ni Father Jose Burgos na dapat mga parang secular dyan naglilid, hindi mga parang praile na ayun nga, mga foreigner. So, hindi lang dun sa church nagkaroon ng struggle for equality. Meron din sa government at sa police. So, yun lang yung part ko. May magtutuloy din ng report na to. Thank you.
The movement was not limited on promoting the interests of secular priests. Two other sectors are also involved. These are the Peninsulars, who took care of the leadership of civil and military offices, and friars, who led the ecclesiastic offices. Filipinos are being denied of any high positions because of the monopolization made by two sectors. By us being a colony of Spain, priests had the power in the country, and most of the high-position members of Peninsulars and friars are not trusting Filipinos as a precaution of avoiding rebellion. To combat the racist periodical La Verdad, Filipino liberals in Madrid started the first Filipino periodical, El Eco Filipino. El Eco Filipino is founded in order for Filipinos to have voice against the colonials. Filipinos rose and became a threat to the colonial regime. For them, it was imperative at that time to have the opportunists destroyed immediately. Soon, the Filipinos discovered the restraining activities the Spaniards are doing to them, and also soon take a move to expose their wrongdoings. The Spaniards afterwards didn't hesitate for a period of time and immediately find a way to destroy the opportunists. Then, it started with the replacement of Governor General and the mutiny of Filipino soldiers in Cavite. It was a catalyst for a series of executions, including the infamous execution of Gumburza, Gomez Burgos Zamora, and also state witness Saldua. Filipino priests have also been captured as well, since they believe they have a seditious plot against the Spanish government. It was imperative that it be destroyed immediately. The opportunity arose from two fortuitous developments. One was the replacement of Governor General Carlos Madela Torre by more repressive Rafael de Izquierdo. The other was a mutiny of Filipino soldiers led by Sergeant La Madrid in the fort of San Felipe, Cavite province. And because of these actions, Paciano ordered his brother Jose, which is entering Ateneo, to drop their family name and instead use the second surname, Mercado. Because of the executions, Rizal started to think of what he can do about the plight of his countrymen, how to respond to injustice, and what to do in despair. This led Rizal to write the two famous novels, noli me tangere, and el filibusterismo.
Another revolutionary kundiman sang to the familiar tune Doon po sa amin bayan ng San Roque may nagkatuwa ang apat na pulube of the much older kundiman ng 1800s establishes the same connection. Diego Mojica, a vernacular poet and former president of the Katipunan in San Francisco de Malabon, a Bonifacio stronghold even after Aguinaldo's ascendancy to uncontested power, also made the same connection in his article recounting the history of the revolution in the Katipunan tabloid, which he edited in behalf of a revived Katipunan society. In 1897, the same pairing phenomenon marked the rites in the New Jerusalem site of the millenarian folk in Mount San Cristobal, a twin of Mount Banahaw, where devotees prayed at the shrine of Burgos and Rizal, who were believed to be living there. The year 1872 profoundly changed the life of its survivors. All the prominent leaders were exiled and many were imprisoned. Younger members, students like Pasiano, had their promising careers abruptly ended. No one forgot the tragedy. A few were in fact broken by it. The interesting thing about the aftermath of 1872 is that, as noted by Schumacher and Kushner, it was both the survivors and their brothers, fathers, sons, mentors, and pupils who were to be the leading figures of the propaganda movement and even the revolution and the Malolos Republic. A mission to fulfill, 1882 to 1890s. The event of 1872, tempered by Pasiano's guiding hand and Burgos' moral teachings, would be etched permanently in Rizal's mind. He would dedicate his prize-winning poem, A la Juventud Filipina, written while a freshman medical student at the Universidad de Santo Tomas, to Pasiano's student group. The year 1872 would inform Rizal's reading of Fyodor Hagor's Travels in the Philippines, as well as his writing of Junto al Pasig, a play in honor of the Virgin that was staged successfully at the Ateneo while he was a student there. Rizal began his historical project in 1888 upon his return to Europe, undertaking a laborious research on Philippine history in the British Museum at London. He had glimpsed from Hagor's work a view of his country's future, the role that the rising giant, the United States of America, would play at the turn of the century. He had, through the trauma of 1872 and his mother's arrest and imprisonment, known only too well and painfully the sad reality of colonial rule. Thus, even before he embarked on his sojourn in Europe, a tripartite frame for Philippine history had already formed in Rizal's mind. Three phases: pre-colonial, colonial, and post-colonial. Burgos, Rizal, and Bonifacio constitute the three links in the nationalist movement from 1870s to 1890s. Through Rizal's intellectual and moral leadership, the movement that started with Burgos was revitalized, from an assimilationist program to a separatist one. Some of Rizal's biographers, notably Retana and Rafael Palma, have sensed patriotic stirrings in Rizal's A la Juventud Filipina. This is Nick Joaquin's English translation of the first and last stanza. Look up with a tranquil face, Philippine youth, on this day shine, manifesting the grace and gallantry of your line, fair hope of this land of mine. O happy, happy day is this sweet Philippines to your descent. Bless the Almighty's way of God whose love has sent fortune shining upon you and content. According to Palma, the main idea of the composition is that the Philippines is the country of the Filipinos. a thought that was contrary to the intellectual position of the Peninsular Spaniards, especially the missionaries, who believed that the Philippines was a country conquered by religion for Spain, and hence, after religion, it was to Spain that the Filipinos should look as a mother. Nevertheless, notes Palma, in his poem, Rizal seemed to follow a new definite orientation, that the Philippines was the motherland of the Filipinos. There can be no doubt, Nick Joaquin concurs, that when he said Patria la Patria ma, Rizal meant the Philippines and only the Philippines.
During the teenage years of Dr. Jose Rizal, he wrote Junto al Pasig. Junto al Pasig is a one-act verse play written at the request of the Jesus and staged at the traditional annual celebration at the Ateneo of the Feast of Immaculate Conception. The play was first performed by Rizal's schoolmates on the 8th of December 1880. The large audience included the Jesus, took the play as a simple charming allegory in praise of Catholicism, involving a group of boys who wait at the banks of the Pasig River to witness the spectacle of the fluvial procession of the Virgin of Antipolo. It was thus appreciated warmly. However, a careful reading of a particular scene uncovers some allusions that at that time should have considered subversive. This is the scene where one of the boys, Leonido, on his way to join his friends at the river bank, is held back by a frightening figure dressed as a native priest of the ancient religion who turns out to be Satan himself. The play ends with a choir of angels routing Satan and his devils as the boys, rescued by Leonido, pay homage to the Virgin. Hail to thee, Queen of the Sea, Rose without stain, Star without wane, Rainbow of peace, hail to thee! Could this homage to the Virgin have been the reason why the enthralled audience missed something? Austin Craig sees in Satan's marvelous lines the fierce denunciation of Spain. Regardless of the intentions of the 19-year-old poet, the message of Satan is reinscribed in the subsequent political and historical essays of the more mature Rizal. In his annotations to Morga and his searing critique of Spanish colonialism in La Indolencia de los Filipinos and Filipinas dentro de cien años. In the play, Satan articulates the narrative of the lost Eden and thus foreshadows the tripartite narrative of emancipation that would emerge from Rizal's essays and novels with Bonifacio, in return, would appropriate for his Katipunan. Impressed by the devil's eloquent glorification of the Philippines' pre-Hispanic past, Nick Joaquin wonders whether Rizal, at age 19, was already on the side of the devil. There is the evidence notes Joaquin of Rizal's first poem, Sa Aking Mga Kabata, supposedly written in 1869 when Rizal was 8 years old, in which he already saw the coming of Spain as a disastrous storm wrecking the bark of native culture in the night of time. Indeed, notions of a rich indigenous heritage animate this much-cited Tagalog poem. Nick Joaquim translated Rizal sa aking mga kabata in English. The last stanza of Sa Aking Kabata ni Rizal of this, which is become a remarkable. Note the reference to the Spanish conquest as a storm that wrought damage on the native culture and led to the loss of the letters and alphabet of the indigenous language that abounds in Rizal's later scholarly work. Nonetheless, It is highly unlikely that Rizal authored sa aking mga kabata, the fly in the ointment is a crucial word, kalayaan, in the sense in which it is used in the second stanza, and for that matter, and the revolution of 1896 was not yet current in 1869. Indeed, Rizal, by 1886, was not yet familiar with the word, as evidenced by his 12 October letter to Pasiano. My dear brother, I am sending you at last the translation of Wilhelm Tell by Schiller. I am aware of its many mistakes, which I entrust to you and my brothers-in-law to correct. It is almost a literal translation. I'm forgetting Tagalog a little. As I don't speak it with anyone, I lacked many words, for example, for the word free or liberty. The Tagalog word kaligtasan cannot be used because this means that formerly he was in some prison, slavery. I found in the translation of Amor Patrio the noun malaya, kalayaan, that Marcelo H. del Pilar uses. In the only Tagalog book I have Florante, I don't find an equivalent noun Rizal family, 1964 to 43.
Okay, so once again, nagbabalik tayo sa report natin about sa A Nation Aborted, and itong page na to yung naka-assign sa akin sa group namin. So, once again, welcome. And dito nag-start yung page na yun sa student days ni Rizal sa Ateneo, kung saan dito makikita natin na nag-awaken yung kanyang patriotic sensibilities, or yung kanyang parang naging curious siya sa mga nangyayari sa ating sa ating bansa nung colonization, yung Spanish colonization. So yun, sumulat siya ng libro na tinatawag na Memorias de un Estudiante de Manila. So dito yun nga, sinasabi nga na my second year in college resembled the patriotic sentiments that had been greatly developed in me. So ito yung isa sa quote niya na nakalagay dun sa libro na yun, which nagpapakita nga nung pag-awaken niya, yung parang gusto niyang may maitulong siya sa bansa natin as an individual. So yun, next na nangyari is sumali siya ng literary competition. So sumulat siya ng librong Ala Juventud Filipina, and then syempre si Rizal yun, nanalo siya. And yun nga, kumbaga hindi pa nasiyahan si Rizal. Sumali ulit siya. Gumawa siya ng librong El Consejo de los Dioses, and nanalo ulit siya. Pero hindi naging maganda yung naging outcome nitong competition niya, kasi sinabi dun sa libro sa A Nation Aborted na nung nalaman ng mga committee na Filipino yung nagsulat nung El Consejo de los Dioses, ang ginawa kay Rizal, instead na maging first place siya, ginawa siyang second place. So hindi naging maganda yung trato sa kanya. And then this is followed by another incident in UST, in which Rizal is nakalagay dito, whipped, thrown in jail, and threatened na i-discharge siya dun sa lugar na yun. So dito pinapakita yung mga hardship ni Rizal, and then yun nga, hindi naging maganda yung experience niya. So si Rizal, nag-isip siya ng magandang gawin para makatulong pa rin sa atin. So sinabi dito na yung pinaka magandang ginawa niya is ayun. So nakalagay dito umalis siya ng bansa para i-pursue yung kanyang study, kasi it turns out na hindi naging maganda yung trato sa kanya dito eh. So siguro naisip niya noong time na yun na kung sa ibang bansa ba siya mag-aaral, magiging okay ba yung lahat. So yun, okay. So umalis siya ng bansa nang hindi nagpaalam sa parents niya, and then pumunta siya ng Europe or sa Madrid. Yun. So dito siya nag-pursue ng studies niya. And then kasama niya si sino to? Si Pasiano, na ayun nga, gumawa nga sila ng plano para syempre para hindi masayang yung pagpunta niya first of all sa Europe para mag-aral, and then para matulungan din yung mga Pilipino once na bumalik siya. Kasi syempre, ano na siya, enlightened na siya by education. So, ayun, sumulat siya ng letter sa kanyang parents na may nakalagay na a mission to fulfill. So, dito nakalagay yung kanyang mga gagawin para dun sa Europe, sa kanyang pag-aaral. And then, yun nga, dahil hindi nga siya nagpaalam, nag-leave siya ng mensahe para sa kanyang magulang. So, dito sila nag-aral si Rizal sa ano ba to? University something in Madrid. So, yun. So, mayroong isa pang nangyari dito, no? Nung June 25, 1884, si Rizal, si Luna, and si Resurrection ay ginawaran ng award sa Madrid Exposition. So, yun. Parang ang nangyari doon, na-recognize sila kasi itong mga Filipino na to is magagaling in terms of art, and then sa kanilang expertise. And then ang ginawa ni Rizal, tinake niya yung time na yun para magsalita. So sinabi dito sa kanyang toasting speech or brindis na ito, a toast for the youth of the Philippines, sacred hope of my country, that they may follow such examples, and may Mother Spain, solicitous and ever mindful of the good of her provinces, soon put in effect the reforms that she has long planned. The furrow has been plowed, and the soil is not barren. So dito pinapakita niya na hindi pa tapos yung kumbaga yung mission nila Rizal, and then parang pinapakita niya dito na hindi dapat minamalit yung mga Pilipino dahil kaya nating maging maging magaling sa mga bagay. So, yun nga, sobrang naging ang tawag dito, sobrang naging big issue nung ginawa ni Rizal na yun, na to the point na umabot sa Pilipinas. And then yun nga, nalaman nung nanay niya ni Rizal, si Doña Chodora, yun. And then, yun. Anong nangyari? Hindi naging maganda yung reaction niya nung nanay niya dun sa ginawa ni Rizal. And then sumulat siya ng letter kay Rizal na sinasabing not to meddle things that will cause her a heartache, but to be a good man. Pero ang ginawa ni Rizal, which is ito na yung last part nung report ko ngayon, nag-reply siya. Ang sinabi niya, the best legacy that parents can leave to their children is an upright judgment, generosity in the exercise of our right, and perseverance in adversity. So dito, pinapakita na ini-insist pa rin yung kanyang advocacy to set people free by making himself the torch of knowledge for our people to become enlightened. Kasi tulad nga nung quote na knowledge is power. Ito yung kumbaga ito yung naging daan ni Rizal para matulungan tayong mga Pilipino nung panahon nung Spanish colonization. And yun nga, para ma-free tayo against sa kanila. So yun, dito nagtatapos yung report ko. Thank you ulit sa pakikinig, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace out.
So hey guys, my name is Roy Paulo Real, and this is a discussion about critiquing colonial discourse. So Rizal's new edition of Dr. Antonio de Morga's 1609 Sucesos de las Islas Filipinas, and his two essays, Filipinas dentro de 100 años and Sobre la indolencia de los Filipinos, became the basis for national views of history. Bonifacio would later disseminate this information through the Revolutionary Katipunan. So at the previous chapter or page, so after Rizal made his own project,
the first encyclopedia of the Philippines, which is aimed at Filipino students. He made a new edition of Dr. Antonio de Morgas' 1609 Sucesos de las Islas Filipinas, and also created two essays, The Filipinas dentro de 100 años and Sobre la indolencia de los Filipinos. And so, since Bonifacio is a former member of La Liga Filipina and he's met with Rizal, of course, and some of Bonifacio's ideologies and like political views and views of the nation almost came from Rizal. So Bonifacio disseminated Rizal's views and ideologies through the Revolutionary Katipunan, because Bonifacio really looked up to Rizal as his role model. So next is vicious racism. So according to Syed H. Alatas in his book Myth of the Lazy Native, published 1977, page 24, the viciousness, racist, and orientalizing representation of the Filipinos were myths constructed by the Spanish regime's ideological agents, most of whom were friars. So, sa part na to, nung panahon ng pananakop ng Espanyol, nung mga sinaunang Pilipino ay yun, talamak talaga ang racism. So, ayun nga, gaya nung mga, for example, ang mga, meron tayong mga classification ng mga Pilipino. So, according to wealth, social status, mostly by blood, you know, the Creoles, Insulares, Peninsulares, Indios. So those are all constructed by the Spanish regimes, and most of them are friars, because sila yung talagang nagpakalat at nagdegrade sa mga Pilipino noong unang panahon. Dahil ang tingin nila sa Pilipino ay mga alipin at mga mabababang uri kaysa sa kanila. Dahil ayun nga, nung pagpunta nila dito, napansin nila na mga Pilipino ay hindi pa ganun kasi civilized at kumpara sa kanila, syempre. And so in Alata's book, he mentioned one of the key players in this vicious racism, and that is Sinibaldo de Mas. So based on Sinibaldo de Mas's 1842 report to the Spanish Crown, the Informe sobre el Estado de las Islas Filipinas in 1842, that because the object of the Creoles' patriotism is not Spain but the Philippines, they constitute a dangerous threat to the colonial regime. So because of this, their growth and advancement must be suppressed. So quick fact muna tayo, ang mga Creoles, sila ay yung mga half Spanish, half Filipinos. So mostly, kaya sila nabuo, it's either nagkailaban ng isang Espanyol, Kastila at isang Filipina, for example, or pwede rin namang dahil sa pangre-rape, for example. So sinabi ito ni Demas dahil yun nga, ang mga Creoles ay usually ipinanganak sa Pilipinas, At syempre, dito sila natuto at dito sila ito yung uh, kumbaga ano nila, kanilang lipunan. So, kaya sila natatakot dito kasi ang mga Creoles ay dahil nga sila anak ng mga Kastila. So, karamihan sa mga Creoles ay sila yung medyo nakakaangat sa buhay kaysa sa mga ordinaryong Pilipino. And so, gaya nga nang nangyari kay Rizal. So, si Rizal ay isang Creole. So, ang nangyari sa kanya ay namulat siya at dahil nga may lahi siyang Espanyol at siya ay nabigyan ng chance makapag-aral at siya ay nag-aral pa sa ibang bansa at siya talaga ay namulat. So ayun ang kinatatakutan ni Damas, kaya niya sinabi sa Spanish Crown na kailangan isuppress ang mga Creoles dahil sila ang most likely na ma-enlightened at potentially magpabagsak sa colonial regime. So another one that Damas have mentioned is the secularization must be resisted. So Mas also stated in his report that if the other races are dominant in parishes, i.e. native priests, Chinese mestizos, the government would lack the means through which it would certainly receive the needed news and information. So for this reason, their campaign for the secularization of the parishes must be resisted, even if this is required by the church law. So on church law, ito ay utos galing sa Pope, sa Papa, na lahat ng mga simbahan, either colonialized or whatsoever, must be secularized, meaning ang mga natives dapat, hindi mga friars for example, ang may malaking share sa simbahan. So ayun nga, nasabi ito ni Mas dahil kapag naging dominante ang mga natives, mga Filipino priests or ibang lahi sa mga parishes sa Pilipinas, posible itong malaking factor ito sa kapangyarihan ng colonial regime as well as their control to the masses, since ang mostly ang pinakikinggan ng masa o ng mga ordinaryong mamamayan ay ang mga pare at mga praile, or ang simbahan ang kanilang pinapakinggan. So dahil dito, isa ring factor dito ay ang mawawalan sila ng kapangyarihan dahil nung unang panahon ay isa itong simbolo ng kapangyarihan at ito ay malakas na kapangyarihan hindi lang sa mga tao kundi rin sa gobyerno dahil sila ay nakikialam sa politika ng bansa.
Hello, my name is Hardy Dandawal Ozapon and my report is Biography and History, and I am going to continue to Syed H. Alatas, who is a Malaysian academician, sociologist, and founder of the Social Science Organization, and is also a politician. He wrote several books on corruption, multiracialism, imperialism, and intellectual captivity as a part of the colonial and post-colonial project, and his most famous work is being the Myth of the Lazy Native. He stated that this is not unique to the Philippine colonial situation, which is racism, where they discriminate others. And he has also observed that this has happened same to the British, to the Malaysians, and Dutch to the Indonesians. And in the year 1997, he has also observed that Silvado de Mas was ahead of the Dutch and British colonial writers by 100 years. So, Alata's thesis based on these readings of Mas and San Agustin. The attack on Filipino character in the ecclesiastical writing was actually an attempt to subject the Filipino priest to the dominance of the Spanish ecclesiastical of the authorities of the Philippines. So, the Spanish used the ecclesiastical writings in order to make our priests to submit to their dominance, where the Spanish will have the control over them. So, Alatas also stated in his thesis that the colonial discourse was a defensive reaction by the ruling class against the most popular movements for change. So, the one who has the power will also use the colonial discourse in order to defend themselves to their power, in order to maintain their power towards to the class where they're ruling, in order to make the Filipinos to submit towards them. And he also applied to his thesis, which is Rizal's essay sobre la indolencia de los Filipinos. Alatas has concluded that Rizal did not consider all these factors in his analysis of the indolence of the Filipinos. So, this is Alatas' conclusion. His conclusion was way off mark because of Rizal's articles in the La Solidaridad were precisely critiques of the colonial hacks, like Mas and San Agustin. Where Rizal was familiar with the secularization controversy as well as the writing of Burgos. And all illustrados in the propaganda movement were also aware from their own experiences the insidious vilification of an injurious act if an injurious act of self-exertion was always provoked the entrenched peninsulars. The Ilustrados knows the reactions of the peninsulars because when the Indios had have moved without the permission of the peninsulars will provoke the peninsulars to take action towards them. So Rizal goes further than Alata's perspective. So Rizal's opinion on racism is that racism is not just a defensive ploy on the part of the privileged groups to deny the unprivileged clamor of an equal share. So racism is just discrimination towards others where you do not give them you do not treat them as same as your own, where you treat them as you were disgusted towards them or some other meaning. So Rizal also stated that it is also inevitable psychological polarity at the very act of domination itself. Well, he said that domination or dominance towards others was merely a part of our psychological properties. So Rizal also stated that saying that people in power develop a contempt for those they oppress and exploit, regardless of whether the oppressed and exploited complain about it or not. So the one who has the power was always had the feeling of contempt, where whether they when they oppress someone or some people, where they feel contempt because whether the people does not agree with them or agree with their process. So Rizal notes to his diary. He said there that the more oppressive a ruling power, the more hateful it is of the rule. So the more oppressive or more forceful the ruling ones towards the people who is getting ruled, it's more possible that the people will get angry towards the one who has the power because they are getting they are getting the most where they're not getting the most as compared to the one who has the power. Rizal did not note to his diary that the vilification that stemmed from the consuming desire, where the desire to suck the blood out of the Indios, flowed freely even in the presence of the Indios, as Rizal has experienced on his trip on the ship. Where it is said here that it is not written in his diary that they will do everything to use the Indios for their own will and use them only for their own benefits. And Rizal has experienced this when he is on his trip on the ship towards his destination. So Rizal found it necessary to conduct a rigorous research about this country's past. So they said that raising a fist or trying to fight against those who had the power is very risky and dangerous business for those newly awakened Filipino intellectuals in Rizal's time. So this is the people or persons that had intellectual advantages in that time. So for Jose Rizal, he has finished the he has finished medicine. Antonio Luna has finished pharmacy. Alejandrino Evangelista and Natividad has finished engineering. So they have devoted a large part of their lifetime and intellect and even their own financial resources in order to fight against those who had power towards our country. So Rizal, who was in lead and studied and argued it, he also wrote Speaking Truth to Power in behalf of the aspirations of the people, the common pursuit of a shared ideal, where they finally realized that the own people of our country must only work for our own and not serve others because we are the ones who are using all our blood and sweat in order to work for our own. So thank you for listening. I'm Harley Danda with Sargon. Thank you.